Welcome to the Intuitive Ascending Mind podcast with your host, Alia Yasmin Khan. Throughout this series, you'll learn how cultivating a growth mindset can unlock your true potential and impact every aspect of your life. Join Alia and her guest each episode as they dive deep into strategies for personal development and lasting transformation. Now, here's Alia.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Intuitive Ascending Mind podcast. Joining me today is Breona Mouton. She is a life coach and consultant, and I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome, Breona.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Breona, tell us a little bit about your journey. What brought you on this path?
Yeah, so I feel like since I was younger, more like a kid, I've always loved to help people. I've always loved to encourage and inspire. And so over the years, as I have just gone through, life's positives, life's adversity, life's trials that I've been able to navigate, my mindset and being able to pour into others has brought me to where I am today. So in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your company and what it does.
Yeah, so Labri Consulting, of course, it's myself as of right now. My team will be growing, but Labri Consulting and Events, because I've been an event planner for years, which is my other passion. We focus on professional development. Of course, as a life coach, I love to encourage and empower. And the meaning behind Labri not only is my mother's name is Linda, my name is Breona, so we combine that. But Labri or Libre means freedom or sense of being free. And so when I was deciding how do I want the trajectory of my business to go and what do I want it to look like, it was only fitting to use Labri Consulting. So in a nutshell, I am here to just be everybody's accountability partner. They're, like I said, life coach. And then if you need help with any meetings or events, I'm also really good at that as well.
That's awesome. What ignited this passion and wanting to inspire people?
Honestly, I was tired of being put in a box. I've worked for several different organizations over the years. And one thing that I have found that doesn't resonate with me is when I'm all for constructive criticism, feedback, but when somebody tries to tell me what I'm limited to do, that just doesn't resonate with me. And so I was finally like, I want to create my own path. I want to, have my business. I want to shape it the way that works for me, that for me, making sure that people are seen, heard, valued is really important to me. And so I wanted that not only to resonate within myself, but through my business. And so I try to live my life. Obviously, we all have unconscious biases and stuff like that, but I truly try to live in the most authentic and just non-judgmental way. So it's a safe place. And that's what started Labri.
Awesome. When clients work with you, what do you look for to how do you analyze the situation? What are you looking for, and how do you draw out the results that they want?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I'm very big on listening. So I try not to prescribe. It is my nature to naturally be in a fix it mindset. So I always, when I come in, I take off that hat to say, I am here to just absorb. I'm here to be a sponge. I'm here to learn about that person. And from there, when they feel comfortable with sharing, because I build rapport really quickly in relationships, because I do feel like I'm just a safe space and people can sense that because I'm me, what you see is what you get. And so by doing that, it does allow me to kind of move with the way that they need in that moment. And of course, I'm there to provide advice. Or if I don't necessarily understand something, then I can ask those clarifying questions. But to get that basis, I want to hear them out first. So I do a lot of listening, and then we go from there. And whether it's one goal or like three SMART goals, it's usually about an hour, 45-minute to hour session when I do like my coaching sessions, and then we build from there.
I personally love something that you talk about. It's intentions, because I think intentions shapes every part of our day, and I'm very intentional about everything that I do. Can you share the passion behind intentions?
Yeah, so I am a recovered perfectionist. And so I was always a million miles a minute. And I had just noticed for me, I would honestly ruffle feathers when I'm like, you know what? We can agree to disagree, or again, this doesn't resonate with me, but let's see how we can come together. And so over the years, I follow a lot of inspirational speakers, but I follow a lot of motivational speakers too. And you take what you will from each one, you know? And so I was like, I want to be a person that lives my truth, you know? Sometimes even one of my favorite quotes is speak while trembling. So, you know, whether I'm fearful or not, um, I just wanted to be the best version of myself where nobody ever had to wonder if there was like an ulterior motive. I don't ever want anybody to feel that way. And so that's where that intention comes from.
Hey, the authenticity, I love that. Like
Yes.
being authentic to who you are. At which point in your life did you realize like becoming a founder for this company, like this was the direction you wanted to go in?
It's been about 5 years when I literally just pulled the trigger about 6 months ago. So but during that time, I had already kind of started, not officially, like I said, coaching and stuff. So I would say about 5 years ago, I really started on like, oh, like I really want to do this. And honestly, with life and we kind of have that negative self-talk and we can self-sabotage, and I'm like, okay, as an entrepreneur you work around the clock, like you never stop. I was going through all of like I do a pros and cons list every time, so I had all of these pros, but then I was realistic on all the cons. Like, I'm going to lose my life, like very dramatic, but that's kind of the sense of like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to work all these hours. And then the reality is when I was working for other organizations, I was already doing that. So it's like, why not transition that and do it for myself? And so, yeah, about 5 years it's been in the makings. And then about 6 months ago, I was like, okay, it's go time. So I've been pondering for a while now.
What type of insights do you bring to your clients that helps them to like to understand what they need to do to transition, to like go through to develop those habits and go through with that sort of discipline that you clearly have?
That's a great question. I love these questions. I think the biggest thing, what I start with, is that we are so hard on ourselves. So the biggest thing that I always want to do is remind people you are amazing in just the way that you are. We are all hardwired in a certain way, and that's amazing. So starting with that to allow, like, yes, I'm here to help you, but you're not wrong. You're not failing. You're not, because I would say about 80% of the time, the conversations, people are just so hard on themselves. I'm like, I just can't get this, or I just don't understand, or I'm feeling this way. And it's like, that's okay. So I always start there with, where are you at, whether it's your conscious mind or your subconscious mind, because I'm gauging, like, how do I want to have this conversation? So starting there, allowing people to pat themselves on the back a little bit, like, hey, I am pretty amazing. And then from there, usually it's business related or financial. I don't do a lot of financial coaching, but I am certified in financial peace, which I got certified in years ago. That helps with like debt consolidation and all of that. So it either goes with life, I need help with self-awareness, empathy, or I need help with my finances. So between the two, biggest thing is, like I said, I just remind people it's okay. You're doing the best that you could in that moment. Until you know better, you can't do better, but I'm going to help you to know better, and then we're going to do better. And then from there, I love processes. So I have one pagers like for everything that people can take away, because one of my biggest things is, don't tell me just about it. I want to know the why, and I want to know how. And so, because my mind works that way, and it may not resonate with everybody, but I'm always like, here, let me give you the tools, and then here's something to follow up. So not only are we accountability partners for each other, but it's tangible, because our brains, usually our attention spans are maybe like 30 minutes, sometimes even 10, 15 minutes. So if we don't talk for a week, if we don't talk for 2 weeks, I want them to have that reference of whatever we discuss. So then that way, when we can come back to it, we can build on that from there.
That's awesome. You hit on something that's so key, the subconscious,
Yeah.
because I regard the subconscious as below consciousness. Like we know what our conscious mind does, but our subconscious like reveals our actual reality. So, we're living in the our product, like our life exactly where it's at is based on our subconscious program. So if we're succeeding, great, we got good programs. If we're not succeeding and we're hitting a wall constantly, we gotta go in there and
Right.
figure out what's going on below consciousness that's causing that inability to move past, challenges. How do you address things in the subconscious when you detect like something is subconscious in a client? What do you do?
Honestly, I have a really good exercise that I love, and I use it for men and women, but I feel like it resonates so much more with women, is that I ask if they have a picture of them as a child. And it could be 5, it could be 8, it could be, but I'd say about 8 and younger, with the subconscious, because the things that we tell ourselves are, constantly playing like a symphony up there. And I know for myself personally, even though I'm so positive, my subconscious was not always nice to myself. Like, I'm beating myself up because the kitchen's not clean, for example. And like, who cares? Nobody cares. Like, they see that. And so the exercise that I do is I have them pull, whether it's a picture that they can actually look at, like an actual photo, when they were actually used to be printed, or on their phone. And I ask them, the things that you're telling yourself, and they don't always share, but it's like, we know internally what is going on. The things that you're telling yourself, are they giving life, or are they hindering that life? And then the trigger, like the punchline, I guess I would say, is, would you tell those same things to that little girl? Would you tell those same things to that little boy?
I bet you
And
get
the
a lot
truth
of
is,
people breaking down and crying at that moment.
you do. And it was so powerful for me when it happened, because there was 2 exercises. It was that one, and it's like, no, I would never. I love kids, but more importantly, I love myself, and I love that little girl that I see on the other side. So no, I would never. I would try my best to just speak life and to be kind, and it's like, you forget that along the way. So that's one. The other one is, if they, if somebody doesn't have pictures, because at times, people have never printed them, it's to close your eyes, and it's to put out your hands as if you're like holding a book. And you really have to focus your subconscious, but to see that little girl or that little boy in front of you putting their hands in your hands now.
I love that.
Same thing. And you're just like bawling, but it's like, okay, you have the younger you looking back at you. And would you say those same things to that, to that younger you? And the answer is, literally, I would say 100%. I would bet on it. It would be no. And so that kind of shapes, that takes the pressure off. And I do find that it helps to, move that needle forward with intentionality, with authenticity. It's a tongue tire there. To just when we move forward those conversations, it's like, you just see that pressure, you see that light, you see that just relief, when people know, like, it's okay, you're doing the best that you can. So those are the 2 that resonate the most, that I see not only immediate results, but I see consistent life-changing results, especially if they stick with it.
Yeah. I love that, because that allows you to kind of like, it's kind of like data mining in the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going in there and you're pulling out, and the thing about the subconscious is that things that we don't think are penetrating it are, like the
Yeah.
music that we listen to, the things
Yeah.
we were told that we believed. And belief is also like such a key thing that just kind of like, it will, if you believe it, it becomes your experience. And
Absolutely.
those beliefs are sometimes disabling beliefs, they're not always good beliefs. Some beliefs are great beliefs, and some beliefs are terrible. They're disabling.
Yeah, when I even just, because like I said, I don't always get it right. In my bathroom, I have a picture taped of me as a little girl. And so I look at that, and I think it's amazing that you touched on belief. I will say, for me, we all have our different things. I am a woman of faith, and so that does help. I'm not saying it cures everything, but my faith in a higher being, a higher power, that also helps my subconscious. That also helps in my mind, because so we can have all the tools, we can surround ourselves with a positive environment, but still, it's like, at times, like, you need extra reinforcements. And
Yeah,
so for me, my faith is that it's my foundation that helps.
sure. I found like you have to have something to believe in. Like you have to
Absolutely.
have a foundation, like something faith-based, because
Yes.
it makes life purposeful
Yes.
versus not having a purpose, or saying, why am I here? All those debilitating thoughts that flow through your head. If you just let your mind wander, you're like,
Yes.
I'm worthless. Why am I here? That type of stuff. But
Yeah.
if you have some level of faith, you have like purpose, you have mission, you have vision, you're like,
Yes.
okay, I have a reason why I'm here. Now let's play the game of life and try to uncover it, right?
Yes. And it gives you a
So
confidence boost too. I find that when you do believe in something else, you know that whatever you're facing, there's something bigger. There's somebody there that has your back. You're not alone. And it just allows you to know it's going to be okay. I don't know how. There's sometimes, even in life right now, certain things, I don't know how it's going to be okay, but I just know that I know. And for me, that's enough, and then I can continue to move forward.
Yeah. Through our most difficult times, we tend to grow a lot.
Yes,
We don't see it in that moment. We're always, just down about whatever's going on, but that's where the real growth comes in because we really push ourselves harder, even though we don't realize it. It's just something that we naturally kind of do. So
absolutely.
that's, yeah.
Are you tired of feeling stuck? Unable to reach your personal goals? Imagine unlocking the powerful duality of your mind to propel yourself towards success. With our mental duality guide, you can finally achieve the personal development you've always desired. This guide is not just another self-help book. It's a transformative resource designed to help you harness the hidden powers of your mind, guiding you through the building blocks to create a structured approach to goal setting and achievement. What's in it for you? Clarify your goals. Learn how to define what you truly want in life. Overcome mental blocks. Identify and dismantle the barriers holding you back. Boost your confidence. Develop a stronger belief in your ability to succeed. Achieve consistent progress. Implement strategies that keep you moving forward even when challenges arise. But how do I know this is real? Countless individuals have transformed their lives using our techniques. One user, after applying the principles from the guide, reported a 91% increase in productivity and a newfound clarity in their life direction. Here's the story. Like many, they struggled with conflicting thoughts and feelings about their goals. After engaging with our guide, they learned to balance their rational thinking with emotional insight, leading to breakthroughs they never thought possible. And what are the guarantees? We stand by our guide with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't see progress within 30 days, we'll refund your purchase. No questions asked. Why now? The longer you wait, the longer your dreams remain out of reach. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take action today and start your journey toward personal growth and achievement. What do you have to lose? Nothing but your limitations. Join the ranks of those who have discovered their potential through our mental duality guide. Act now and unlock the door to your future.
So tell me a little bit about like where you see your company going and growing. Like, what is your vision for it?
Yeah. Time frame. Do we want to do like 6 months, a year? Because I'm
Right.
okay. I was like, I'm not a big fan of what's your 5 year goal. I'm like, a lot can happen in a day. So let's just kind of, 3, 6, 9, 12 months. What I would love to see, like I said, is just more. I have more clientele as far as when it comes to life coaching, being able to just encourage because I feel like we are just amazing human beings and having that support right now. I feel like as in general, so many people are starving for community and connection and those objective point of views. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I'll say that also, and so I'm not necessarily a therapist, but I feel like with a life coach, you kind of it blends, as long as I'm not prescribing or diagnosing, and so I feel like having that sense of community, I would love to have more people that I can just share life with, and help them with their life goals. I also do a lot of public speaking. And so I used to do that years ago. I would love to be able to go to ones that really resonate with me, some, professional development, life coaching seminars, and to have a class or two and do a couple sessions on, hey, I don't have it all figured out, but what I've done so far, I know works, and let's work together because sharing is caring. So I would say that's my goals for the next probably 6 months to a year. And then eventually I'll probably need a team because I don't always want to do everything by myself, but
Yeah.
right now that's what we're doing.
It's definitely difficult to do it all by yourself. You do need
Yes.
a team for sure. What have you learned on the entrepreneurial part of your journey? Like, tell me what that has felt like on the business end.
Honestly, the biggest thing is I've learned, obviously, with good wisdom, discernment, and you have to make sure that it's feasible for the
Yeah.
best that you can. But why not? Bet on yourself. If you fail, at least I've learned that and I've lived my life this way for a long time. I've never wanted to live with regret and say, oh, I wish I could have. I would rather do it and fall flat on my face, which I don't believe that's going to happen because I do feel like anything that my hands touch, that it's going to prosper. But in
Yeah.
those moments, if it doesn't, at least I've tried it. At least it's like I'm a big quote person. And so one of the quotes that I love is there's so many dreams that die in the graveyard. And that has stuck with me.
Oh, that hits.
Yes. Since I was like 21, I'm like, I don't ever want to say, like, again, within reason and making sure that I pray and all that stuff to make sure that I know it's right, that I feel in my gut. I'm an intuitive decision maker, like that I feel it's okay. That's how I live my life. And that, especially with my business, it's like I don't ever want to not do anything. I don't ever want to be stagnant. And you just have to go for it because there are so many people, and entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Like I will say that. But if it's in you and go for it. It may take you, it's never going to be the linear path. That's one thing I'm learning. It's going to be zigzags and swirlies and a mess, but it's a beautiful mess and it's your life and life is a journey. So why not embrace it and do everything you can possibly do, because one of my other favorite quotes is you only have one life to live, but if you do it right, one is all you need. And so I'm like, okay. So that's how I live. Yeah, live my life day to day, moment by moment. And yeah, it helps to take the pressure off when you do have to make those executive decisions on, where do I want this to go? How do I want to expand? What's the reality? It makes it fun.
Sure. You mentioned on something like about having just having these mantras that you kind of follow through life.
Yeah.
Are there any really good ones that you want to share with everybody that they should like embody?
Um, I think the biggest one that's coming to me is to be you. That's your superpower. And I live by that, day in and day out. Like I think there's one thing to be confident, there's another thing to be arrogant or conceited, but when you're confident, like we are amazing. Just like I'm amazing, you are amazing. Anybody that's going to see this is amazing. So why not believe in yourself? You, as you are, even if you did absolutely nothing else, are perfect and amazing. Just when perfect is boring. I always say, by the way, like being a perfectionist, like nobody is perfect. We don't just, I strive for excellence. I've had to learn. I don't strive for perfection anymore. But yeah, be you. It's your superpower.
That's awesome. That's awesome advice. What would you do differently, like growing up? Like, is there something that you would do differently if you knew this earlier? Like, what jumps out at you that you're like, man, I wish I knew that when I was younger?
Yeah, two things. I would have definitely asked more questions because I feel like being the oldest in my family, freedom of thought and speech wasn't really welcomed. And so I would speak up a lot more because I'm very inquisitive to like, why is this that way? And I would like hone in to that a little bit more. And then also yeah, I would have done it a lot sooner versus looking at all of the things that could go wrong. And like we've talked about, our environment, surroundings, and your circle that you keep is very important too, because it may not be a lot of people, but I had a lot more naysayers in my life growing up than I did life giving
Mhm.
people. And so I would share, my ideas like, this is what I'm thinking, or, if I'm going down my list of, all of these things on how hard it is to be a business, they'd be like, yeah, you're right. You don't need those type of people. You need people that, yeah, it could be, but you can do all of these things. So those are the two things I would say. Yeah, be more inquisitive and listen to that and just do it and be more mindful of my circle because I can.
I talk about this thing called duality and everything that kind of exists on this spectrum. And
Yeah.
the thing is that like you can sit with a person, hear the words that are coming out of their mouth and put them on your spectrum.
Yes.
And when you hear that they're more mentally disabling towards your growth, you can either do one out of two things. You give their words power and you choose to fail with them, or
Right.
you use their words as fuel to perpetuate your life in the opposite direction.
Right.
And that sort of ability to look at things dualistically allows you, like even as you're having a conversation with someone, when I first met you, like one of the things that jumped out at me was like, oh, she's very positive. Like there's just a light energy around her. And
Yeah.
I said that, and I said that without even like really knowing you. And I thought to myself, and I was like, we carry this energetic field around us.
We
And
do.
when you find yourself and you're exposed, because let's face it, the majority of the world, I like to think that they're positive, but they're not. The
Right.
majority of the world are fear-based and
Glass half
living in this
full.
negative. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
It's only when you're able to take that and disregard everything. And the thing about people that have gone through some level of suffering or fear, they're very passionate. There's a lot of emotion
Yeah.
behind it. So they're very passionate to perpetuate those ideas onto you. They're very, they want, they want you to get the message, their negative message. So they try really hard to get you to get their message. And
Yes.
you have to be sort of that neutral that will allow them to express themselves, but then de-escalate the emotional attachment to their words,
Yes.
and then move yourself back into the direction that you actually want to go in.
I love that. I always say it's thinking in the gray, because I'm a
Yeah,
very logical thing where I have to make decisions. It's very black or white, but it's like, no, there's some gray, in there. And it's so funny. What you made me think of is another quote. It's like, opinions are like armpits. Everybody has one. It's what you take from that. And to your point, like, I can listen and we can agree to disagree and I can choose, just like I'm sure you choose, because I felt the same way about you. I'm like, we talked about this. I love your energy. I love just you as a person. I don't even know you, but you felt
right.
like a sense of safety and calm. And I'm like, I want to be around more of that that's in you. So I'm glad you felt the same way. And it is, yeah, you can pick and choose like what you take away. And like I said, and I know people mean well, but that is one of the other things that I've had to learn is because I am a people pleaser by nature on we can agree to disagree, but we can still live in community. We can still live in harmony together. But that
Absolutely.
takes somebody that is in a growth mindset and somebody that's also has self-awareness and empathy,
Yeah.
which is a whole other topic, and I'm more aware of that now, so I don't spend as much energy if I know it's not really going to go anywhere because I want my light to continue to shine.
Right. And you do have to surround yourself, like, I forgot which book I read this in, but like the people that are closest to you is going to determine whether you succeed or you fail. Like
Yeah.
if you have people that you're surrounding yourself with that are constantly growing, constantly becoming the best version of themselves, constantly in personal growth and development, you by default will progress in that realm as well because your conversations are going to be around the topics you want to talk about, how to grow your
Right.
business, how to succeed, how to navigate life, how to deal with personal relationships, professional relationships, all of these challenges that come into our world when we're trying to
Yes.
navigate. And I have this I think it was Myron Golden. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I love him. He talks about disruption follows intention. And every time we kind of set
Oh,
an
I love
intention, yeah, something will come to test our commitment. That's the way that I kind of read that, is that something will come to test your commitment to your
it.
intention, right? So when that thing
Yes.
comes, you just have to like observe it and not be carried away in that tide, like as it's coming in.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's just very fascinating because it almost feels like it's a law in the universe. Like every time you pick like and I mean like a really big intention, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna do something huge or something big, something
Yeah.
always comes to like try to get you off that path.
Yes.
And it's very interesting to observe it.
Well, yes, I agree. That's why I'm like, there's always a confirmation. I always say, like, if something is happening, and then that's where I'm like, okay, boundaries. And one thing I've learned personally and professionally is when you set those boundaries that work best for you, those that are meant to stay will, because boundaries disrupt. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, it's good for whatever is needed. It affects others and it's not so good. And it's like, because your intention is there, this is what I need. It could be XYZ, and then disrupt, after you said disruption intention and then
yeah,
disruption follows, like it is. Yes, and I'm actually living that right now, so it's like I could wholeheartedly say it is so true. And just staying neutral, staying calm, and just kind of observing and knowing what to take away, it's tremendous in growth and just
yeah.
keeping your sanity on top of that.
Sure. Like I really think we're goal-oriented beings. Like I think we
Yeah.
always have a goal, whether we're aware of it or not. The unaware person that's not aware of their goal is a problem
Yeah.
because that means they don't have clear definition as to where they're heading to. And to me, that life just gets more challenging if you do it that way.
Yes.
If you have that clear outline of like where you're going and disruption comes along, you just bring your like focused attention straight back to that goal and you're like, this is where we're going, this is where we're going, this is where we're
Yeah.
going. And no matter what comes along to like try to take you off that, that
Well, and it's your vision. I don't know if it was Franklin or Roosevelt, but it's like without vision, the people perish,
yes,
Like, so it's like vision is crucial. Like if you
yes,
take away nothing else, like have a vision, set a goal, set an intention. And I always tell like my friends, it can be this grandiose, huge thing, or it can just be, you know what? I'm going to try not to stress today. I'm going to focus on what I can control,
yeah.
and that will start to shift you. So I say
The
all that to say I love.
smallest things make an impact. Like the smallest, I think sometimes people have to develop that belief and they do start. Like I remember like when I was playing around with manifestation, I was just manifesting parking spots from the beginning. And
And
then
it
I'm like,
works.
wait a minute, I could manifest bigger than this. And then it was like,
Yes, it's
you just kind of
huge.
grow the vision and you grow the vision and you grow the vision. And it just is amazing to like look back. I think Steve Jobs says it best. Like you can't see it until you're looking back and you can connect the dots. But like going forward, you have the idea as to where you're heading, but you can't see the path necessarily.
Yeah.
And but you will get there if you have the idea of what the end looks like. Start with
Yeah.
the end in mind too. Like you know where you're heading, and it just requires some flexibility too on our part because sometimes we
Yeah.
do get rigid and we get stuck in our ways and we don't always want what the universe throws at us or.
I know. It's like the saying that you always hear in court, fake it till you make it, or
Yeah,
faith it till you make it, because sometimes you don't know. But like I said, if you're curious and there's that flexibility on, I don't know where it's going to go, but I know it's going to go somewhere good, then enjoy the journey and the ride.
yeah. What are some tips and advice that you would give to anyone listening right now if they want to see change happen in their life right now?
Definitely affirmations. It can be, I say 1 to 3, start small. So speaking over your life and positive, because that is huge. Same thing about your surroundings and your environment. Make sure that it's positive, make sure that it's life giving. And I would say the third thing is just be kind to yourself, show yourself grace. You're doing the best that you can. And tomorrow will worry about itself. Focus on today and then the next day and then the next day. So I would say those are probably my top 3 because we just need a lot of self-care right now.
For sure. How can people connect with you, Breona?
Yes. So, of course, through my website, and I have it here because, you get kind of nervous when you're doing these things. So, my website is labriconsultingandevents.com. And then my Instagram handle is li_Brie for consulting. So, Labri Consulting, but li_ because I had to do it that way. And then Brie Consulting. So,
Oh, that's awesome. We will have the
yeah.
links at the bottom of this podcast as well, so everybody can connect with you and they can check it out on our podcast page as well. I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. I so appreciate everything that you had to offer and all of the insights. And I look forward to everybody listening and enjoying some of this great, great knowledge. Connect with Breona. She's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate the feeling is mutual, and just thank you so much for your time and this opportunity. It means a lot.
My pleasure.